Yes.
Only to one form.
A number in maths, it's the ratio of the circumference to the diameter. It's an irrational number, which means it goes on forever, never repeats, and never has the same pattern. It starts with the digits 3.14159. A man from China, his name is Chao Lu, has got the world record. He's managed to remember pi to 67,580 decimal places. Your average school-aged child is lucky to remember it to 3. There are some children who don't remember the first one. If you don't remember pi from your school days, how good is your memory? You don't realise how good your memory is until you try with all your heart to forget something. When you try to forget the occasion when there's somebody you love has hurt you, then that something is almost impossible to forget. However, forgetting may not be the most important thing. Maybe we cannot forgive, maybe we cannot forget, but we can forgive. Forgiveness isn't about being a doormat. It's not about saying, I allow you to hurt me again. Forgiveness feels pain, but doesn't hoard it. It allows tomorrow to break free of yesterday. It's always hard, sometimes foolish, and at its heart, it's godlike. And forgiveness isn't magical. It's not something we expect things to be straight back to as they were before. Sometimes forgiveness takes longer than we think. I went to see 3D Christmas Carol at the cinema before Christmas, and though it was quite good, I much prefer the Muppets version. I think that if Dickens was writing Christmas Carol now, he would stick in a singing frog. But in A Christmas Carol, you have Marley's ghost. Every now and then, in most marriages, something like Marley's ghost appears, swinging his chains and saying your future is doomed. When we least expect it, ghosts from the past turn up. Ghosts from childhood or previous relationships, and things we thought we'd forgotten resurface. And when we acknowledge it and deal with it, we should ask ourselves, why am I feeling this way? Why am I saying these things? Why is this such a big deal to me? Forgiveness for things that have happened in the past is important, and equally important is honesty with our partners about these past hurts. They deserve to know. And not in the Christmas Carol, but more like Egon. Sometimes the other partner is a little bit like a ghostbuster, and they should be appreciated for dealing with those ghosts that resurface. So what's left on the sheet? There is sex life on the sheet, children, and finances. Possibly in that order. If it wasn't for the first, there wouldn't be the second, who are usually the cause of having none of the third. And if you don't want to deal with the second, it's usually best not to think about the first. Sex is important in marriage, but it's not the most important thing. And that's hard to believe in a Hollywood age, where she is insatiable. She wakes up each morning with perfect hair and perfect makeup. He, in these Hollywood films, is wild but tender, rough yet smooth. Because in reality, it doesn't quite work like that. In the real world, there are periods, and there are mind-numbing times. There are children who are programmed to knock on the bedroom door just at the right moment, or the wrong one, depending on your point of view. Statistics would suggest that most couples enjoy sex 2.7 times a week. If you know what the 0.7 means, don't tell me. I don't think I want to know. But the statistics always remind me of the Two Ronnies sketch, where they're discussing the number of times they make love to their wives. Ronnie Corbett says 1 a day, a week, a month, asks Ronnie Barker. No, he replies, 1 a year. "A year," says Ronnie Barker. "Then why are you so happy?" To which Ronnie Corbett replies with a big smile on his face, "Tonight's the night." You're my only one, So, many marriage guidance counsellors who ask couples what they would like to change in their marriages report that men almost always say sex, and women say affection. When they ask for an explanation, they don't usually ask the men because their answer is kind of obvious. Women tend to reply, "I would love him sometimes to just touch me in a non-sexual way. I wish he would just hold me when we go to bed at night. I wish when we go to the shops he would slow down and hold my hand, rather than storming 2 meters in front of me or dragging his heels 2 meters behind me. I want him to listen. I want to know I matter to him." It clearly takes more than sex to build a relationship that will last. And there's a lot that can be learned from thinking about that response about affection. Knowing that you matter is far more important. And for men, a psychologist once said, "If a man wants a wild Friday night, he had better start working on it on Monday morning." And I suppose that shouldn't come as any surprise, because it's about love making. What about children? The most important and yet the hardest balance to find is to ensure that while the relationship with that new young person grows and develops, the relationship with your partner doesn't die. But the greatest thing that any parent can do for their children is to love each other. Find the fun and laughter in it all. Learn to laugh. Children are funny. And that's never needed more than when that little boy or girl who used to talk to you non-stop about everything from Hannah Montana to their spellings becomes a teenager. One of the problems with teenagers, and there are many, many problems with teenagers, is that they sneak up on you. Now instead of constant chatter, you're lucky to get a grunt. Now instead of wanting every toy in the toy shop, they wouldn't even go shopping with you if you had all the money in the world and promised to wear a paper bag on your head. But through it all, babies, toddlers, teenagers and older children, how much worry do older children who've left home cause people? Through it all, stay together. Talk issues through. Try not to blame each other. It's common for one child to favour one parent and to try and play them off one another, and the balance changes. But keeping that balance, that commitment to the child and the commitment to one another, is so important. It's incredibly important to make time for them, but it's equally important to make time for one another. They need you to keep your love alive. And in the back of your mind, remember that one day they will leave home. When they're troublesome teenagers, you think that day may never come, but they will one day leave. And on that day, you don't want to be sat opposite that person at the dining room table and looking at your husband and wife and thinking, and who are you? Which leaves me with finances.